In a hotel with hundreds of rooms, how do you make sure every guest has a one-of-a-kind stay? OnStream by Dish Business is a platform as a service that allows hoteliers to deliver a customized experience to every display, screen, and mobile device. By connecting with your hotel's back-end systems, including PMS and loyalty, OnStream lets you customize the in-room experience with messages like this and this, so every guest has a personalized stay. Plus, OnStream makes it easy for guests to watch their favorite content, either by casting from their own devices to in-room TVs, or by using cross-channel search to find their top picks across streaming apps and live TV, and by making content available on their devices and yours, so they can enjoy here or here. OnStream also saves guest preferences to streamline future visits while allowing them to use in-room TVs for self-services like this or this, so your hotel operates more efficiently. And looking ahead, OnStream will even help you unlock new revenue streams with on-screen advertising. So whether it's delighting guests, increasing value, or simplifying work for your staff, watch what's possible with OnStream, only from Dish Business.
Thank you for joining us today. My name is Lisa Kane. I'm an associate professor at the Chaplin School of Hospitality and Tourism Management at Florida International University. I would like to welcome you to the International Luxury Hotel Association's webinar on Elevating Guest Experience, Technology Trends and Best Practices, Leveraging Hotel Technology for Transformative Guest Experience and Revenue Growth. Moderated by myself, with panelists Kris Singleton, Senior Vice President for Dish Business, Robert Grosz, President of World Cinema, and David Mariotti, Area Regional Manager, Lifestyle, Remington Hotels. Today's webinar is brought to you by Dish Business. So let's get started with today's discussion on elevating guest experience, technology trends, and best practices. It's clear that adapting to trends and adopting technology aren't just things to consider, but should be priorities in order for hotels to stay competitive and relevant now and in the future. So Kris, let's start with you. I would love for you to kick off this discussion by talking about 2023 technology trends and challenges that are shaping the guest experience.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you for having me as part of the webinar today. The industry is focused on innovative strategies, such as increasing adoption of smart technologies to attract consumers across the globe. Hotels have really increased their use of technology, especially during the pandemic. By 31%, they increased the use from the beginning to the end of 21. That trend really continued through 22 with an additional 19% increase in the technology use. However, I see that in 23, it's really slowing a bit due to the economy and world events that are causing uncertainty. When you look at those increases year over year for 23, it's probably going to be down, not as much use because they've used all of that technology in that rush for addressing the pandemic. Businesses and hotel operators are really being conservative right now, waiting on investments to look at what's going to happen with those world events. The return on investment for advanced technology has really measurable benefits that range from cost savings to really improved guest experiences and more repeat customers. This is where the focus is going to be the remainder of 23 and probably into 24, especially with the advances of artificial intelligence and machine learning that we've really seen coming out, obviously, with ChatGPT and others. The biggest area of investment for 23 is probably going to be in the area of IoT devices. So how can you focus on really looking at the implementation of technology that can save cost and also help to manage better resource utilization? So perhaps the single biggest reason is for the companies to keep competitive with other industry and businesses because others are investing, but you need to really be smart about that. And that's what we see as far as the technology trends going into the remainder of this year and into 24.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's really helpful and segues perfectly into my next question for the panel, because you're talking about how they can stay competitive. So I'm curious what the best practices are for creating a seamless experience across all touch points, from in-room entertainment to mobile apps. And I know you mentioned IoT investment, but Robert, maybe you could talk to us a little bit about the value of integrations and what that looks like for our industry.
Sure, absolutely. So I think the foundation of any technology strategy for a hotel must start at the network and connectivity level. I think that the need for hotels to have Wi-Fi is far behind us now. I think the demand is to have really good Wi-Fi and connectivity strategies, which means the latest Wi-Fi standards. It means having Wi-Fi that is secure, Wi-Fi that can do things like segmentation, network micro-segmentation, authentication platforms that are very user-friendly, very guest-friendly, roam with the guest from one property to the next or one building to the next, and including the common areas and pool areas and dining areas. I think having that connectivity solution is the foundation. Other technologies that are exciting are related to things like mobile phone apps, right? The digital key, access control, having the mobile device really be that thing that all guests have, that you can really leverage the connectivity solutions I just spoke about into a complete end-to-end guest solution. And to get there, you need to focus on integrating those various technologies together. So in the future, I think the success or failure of guest experiences related to technologies will depend upon integrating various technologies seamlessly to create a fantastic experience for the guest and for the associates and for the owner of the property.
I couldn't agree with you more. You know, I remember to my own time working in industry, and just also even in our labs at FIU, if they don't speak, the systems don't speak to each other, it becomes more cumbersome for the employee. It becomes more cumbersome. It leaves a lot of room for error and mistake and miscommunication. So I couldn't agree with you more. And Kris, I know you have some information you wanted to share on this topic as well, in terms of creating a seamless guest experience.
Well, sure. Robert hit it right on the head. Connectivity is the important aspect of this. I mean, when we talk to a number of hoteliers and property managers, it's all around how to manage the connectivity. And they're looking, as I mentioned before, for operational efficiencies. So fewer vendors, fewer touch points, fewer gadgets, hardware in the room to really maximize the experience, because we're all talking about, right, how do we improve the guest experience? So if they have better efficiencies, they can deliver a streamlined experience for in the room. But I think the vendors coming in with the different functional functions that they're providing to the in-room experience is causing some contention and interference. And so there's been a lot of discussion of how do you provide a hub, how do you maximize a single architecture of infrastructure so that can run along a single network where you're maximizing the investment of that property's investments in the architecture and the infrastructure. That is really critical to being able to manage all of that and leverage the communications that are required between a thermostat and the motion sensor and back to the door or back to the PMS for when the guest is checking in or when the guest is checking out. We are looking for, and I think the industry is looking for ways to improve that connectivity. I think there's some opportunities with 5G and how we can create slices of that network that is very specific and segmented, as Robert said, too, to a particular functionality. So that, for example, the video content, which is one of the highest requirements of a feature that is required by the guest, can run along a separate slice of that network without impacting the Wi-Fi connectivity and the network, the internet connectivity that Bob mentioned too about the use of the guest. So managing that network and that infrastructure is going to be a really critical importance, and one that the guest is looking for.
I agree. And, you know, it's interesting because you're talking about managing the infrastructure and the different pieces, and Robert is talking about the value of integrations. And David, I know that you leverage a technology that kind of does all of that as well in terms of mobile applications. And I know you wanted to speak a little bit about that.
I do, and thank you, Lisa, for having me on this panel, and Robert, World Cinema, Kris, Dish, thank you for your innovation and supporting our industry and helping us advance, because the guests do want the comfort of their home in our hotels and our resorts. And so much of that is about what's already been discussed. I mean, the best time for us to prepare for the future is now, it's today. In my 30 years here in the business, when I was coming up, it was all about high touch guest services. It still is, but it's more so high tech. So we're trying to provide high touch through the high tech environment. And so much of that is relying upon the technology that you bring to us and enables us to ensure that our guests, after a long day of travel, can check in and get comfortable in their guest room and being on property. And so much of that is reliant on the technology. It's on the Wi-Fi, it's on the bandwidth, it's having the smart TV in the guest room for their favorite streaming services. But more so, as you mentioned, it's also about the applications. It's about how can we be more touchless. Some of the apps, some of the trends we've seen, it's contactless check-in or arrival and departure experiences, right? So we send the key to the guest prior to their arrival. They can skip the desk and the check-in experience and go right to the room and enter. It's when they're here, having digital guest communication. So that's another application. So we text our guests when they arrive, welcoming them, whether they've had an in-person experience upon arrival at the reception or not. And then we can stay in touch with them through their stay. So that guest journey is important. And then once they've left, perhaps they want to even more so acknowledge the associates through a touchless tipping digital application, which we're seeing more and more now. So those QR codes, you'll see them at valet podiums, you'll see them at beach resorts, outside around the chairs and the umbrella, perhaps concessions. You'll see them maybe at a spa desk where they can personalize their experience with a gratuity that goes right to the associate. So just increasing those comfort levels for the guest while they're here, optimizing the guest services, trying to improve the workflow internally for the heart of the house, and then ultimately improving our marketing and our reputation management. So maintaining that strength is part of the journey, and it all encompasses the tech.
I absolutely love that. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because to me, that's the beauty in the technology, as well as our ability to create even more personalization, to leverage the tool to really give the guest exactly what they want. So
Right.
if it's been a long travel and they've traveled for 24 hours and had layovers and they don't want to talk to somebody, they just want to get into that room and take that hot shower. They already have the key. They can skip there's no procedure for them to experience. It's all just what they want when they want it, which is what we strive for in hospitality, is to give the guests what they want. So I think that's such an integral piece, and I'm so glad that you highlighted it.
Yeah, we're grateful for the innovation that these companies bring to us. It enables us to test it out and to try it. It's real time, and we hear the feedback from the guests when they're in house. If it's not working, we'll hear about it so we can make adjustments to fix it. Typically, it's real time that we're able to do that through the support that we receive from these vendors. So it's a partnership, and it enables us to improve our service and ultimately continue the relationships with these vendors.
Absolutely. And Kris, I know you have some information that speaks to this in terms of visuals. So would you like to share some of those with us?
Well, I'll hit some key highlights. According to The 22 lodging technology study, 50% of the respondents reported that guests really increasingly prefer digital services, those encounters over actual encounters with the staff, which is kind of a good and a bad, right? It's good because they're choosing how they want to connect and communicate. It's also good from a resource perspective because, as we know, hoteliers are really having a hard time staffing to be able to max out on the interactions with the guest based on the occupancy that is in the hotels. So, the top 5 things that are most important to the guest are the free Wi-Fi, being able to access consumer views of that particular property that they're interested in or a hotel that they plan to stay at, the use of mobile applications, being able to text back and forth with the hotel. And then the 5th one is smart TVs and streaming content. Those are the top 5 most important aspects, features, functionality that a guest look for. It kind of ties in with what David was talking about too, because the use of technology, hospitality technology, the 5 most uses are in mobile check-in. So having an effective and efficient mobile application, being able to do virtual tours, again, on a mobile device, being able to personalize the guest experience. So just like David was talking about, when you check into your room, making sure that it is welcoming that individual, and even to the fact of the integration that Robert talked about, making sure that the temperature, if it's capable of dropping the temperature to the appropriate level that the guest is desired and their preferences, maybe setting the music to what they want. Those are all the personalization that technology can offer and that they're looking for. I know in my home, I first get home from work and I'm turning on the music that relaxes me and, some other things, the lighting in the room. So again, they want those same capabilities in the hotel room. 5th of use for or 4th for the use of hospitality technology is in staff communication. So being able for the staff to actually communicate through the app again with the guest. And then the 5th is being able to control, manipulate the smart things in the room. Again, from the temperature to the lights to the music to the TV being on.
The hospitality is still a people business. And I like to look at technology. The best use of technology is to empower a person to do things better and provide a better level of service, but still be there for the guest, or empower the guest to do things that are extraordinary. For example, like instead of grabbing the remote control in the room, being able to change the television channel from your mobile phone, or to launch an app that you might be using at home in your hotel room seamlessly. That's kind of an empowerment thing. So I think our technologies, and regardless of the application, the best technologies are those that empower people to better serve people or empower guests to have a better experience where they are and feel more at home or feel like it's even better than home. That's what we're here for in terms of technology. Expanding on that, when you go deploy technology at a hotel, the important part is how are the vendors, how are the project managers going to interface with your on-site staff? Making sure that we understand how hotels operate and the hours of operations and when we should be there and when we shouldn't be there. Like, don't show up at 11 o'clock or at noon or during checkout or check-in periods and expect the staff to have a lot of time for you. That just doesn't work. So again, that's a people thing. It's not a technology thing. It's having technology enable people to do their jobs better or provide a better experience. And I just want to not lose focus of the fact that hospitality is still very, very much a people business.
Robert, I agree with you. Go ahead, Kris.
No, I was just going to say also, so true for that. It's all about the experiences. We've got, extremely high count thread, for the sheets and the bedding. And we have all those amenities that are really commodity now. Now it gets down to how do we enable the staff to really create an experience, remember their names, talk about them. What are the, they're looking for cool adventures. So being able to advise for the location that they're staying in, and what's the hip things and the local things to go check out. Those are where we can enable them to have access to the data about what's happening, new concerts, new venues, markets, et cetera, that might be of interest to the guest, and really focusing on helping to, create a memorable moment from that perspective. And the data can help with that. And back to the integration of systems, creating those seamless integrations and a gateway technology that can kind of pull that together and share that information based on the approval of the guests themselves for sharing that information, then that can make it even more rewarding for and memorable for the guests, because you're really tying it directly into what's relevant and important to them. So data, technology, seamless connectivity, operational efficiencies, those are all the kind of the buzzwords of that the partners, the technology partners, should be really focused on to help the hoteliers out. That's what the guests are expecting.
Right. Yeah. That's right.
Absolutely.
And also, as this technology is introduced, like you said, Kris, it's the vendors having a learning platform that enables our associates to embrace it quickly and not fear the fact of using it will set them up for failure. So for this digital guest communication, which it enables us to be even more authentic and intuitive with our service, as Robert was saying, I mean, a guest can leave our establishment and dine at a restaurant nearby and then let us know they may need something in their room, or we can actually follow up with them on what entree they may have selected that we recommended. So that communication just expands from the lobby or from the guest room or the pool environment. So it enables them to continue their journey and stay in touch with us even when they've left. So that personalized service goes to the next level with technology that's available to us today.
Yeah, that creates, David, those memorable experiences, right?
Right.
Those, tying experiences together through this technology is a very, very powerful tool. The other thing I'd like to say about that is that data itself is worthless unless you can create an information that will lead to an action. And that will go back to integration, being able to integrate your food and beverage system with your property management system, with your in-room entertainment system. By doing that, you can create some pretty interesting outcomes. Some people might think that's kind of scary, but it's pretty memorable. I mean, we put the name of the guest on the screen in the hotel when they walk into their room, automatically turn the television on. And I think that little bit of personalization is one of the oh wow experiences. And it's really simple, right? But that's very powerful. That's tying data to information resulting in an action. And that's where the power of technology comes into play.
So
Absolutely.
true, and I think that we can take it a step further with creating those memories beyond that, stay. David, you were talking about that journey. Well, maybe we are able to have that surprise and delight because the server at dinner recognized that they really loved a particular bottle of wine. And now, as Remington hotels, you can send them maybe a free bottle of wine or a case of wine that says, hey, I hope you enjoy this at home as much as you enjoyed it here at blah, 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 resort and hotel.
Right.
That really changes, the stakes. The table stakes are up significantly with some of those kind of memories that you create.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Remington's giving away cases of wine. Beautiful.
Tomorrow, free wine tomorrow.
Well, David, you were going to say something about leveraging the guest experience by using data points, building off of what Kris had said.
Yeah, I mean, the guest preferences are so important prior to arrival, while they're here, after they've left, the opportunity to complete the journey with a wonderful review on TripAdvisor or Google or in an Expedia platform, or to receive an amazing survey. That's the reputation we're looking for, so that they will come back and tell their friends, or someone else might see that. And a lot of those experiences, if you look at independent luxury hotels, you can see them online. I mean, that is for the world to know about how a certain associate would have impacted a guest stay, good or maybe not so good. So we're striving for the good, and striving for the good, it almost always has a digital or technological component that enables us to optimize our guest service, to be smarter about how we're serving the guest.
Absolutely. And then take that to, again, the next level with AI and machine learning to be able to build into your loyalty system, your customer relationship management system, where they did this incredible adventure where it was a hike and it was a particular area, maybe in California. And now you take that back and say, oh, if you're looking for that, maybe you're doing 14,000 peak, hikes. Maybe the next one is the Remington Hotel in Aspen. And now, you can provide them with the continued adventure and build that loyalty as well.
Yeah, Robert said it earlier. He used the E word, empowerment. Empowering your associates is amazing. So it's not me offering these ideas. We share them amongst ourselves in our morning meetings. We talk about a guest experience we may have had the day before. It expands into, we do a lot of weddings and corporate events where technology is supported. It's happening here in this hotel that I'm at today. There's a significant amount of bandwidth being applied into our meeting rooms to support the technology that they're experiencing. So that's a whole nother aspect of our business where the technology and having the ability to execute it to a high level is so important now in the hospitality industry.
Absolutely. And, I think that these enhancements to the guest experience, as you've all mentioned, also benefit the hotel employees and the hotels themselves beyond just driving guest loyalty. I think that, to your point, when you have an integrated system, it makes it easier for an employee to deliver hospitality rather than have to first do the job that they're ascribed to do. They can simply leverage that technology as a tool, as Robert mentioned, and it empowers them to deliver that hospitality experience because they're not so focused on the task at hand, but on the experience that they're providing. Their job becomes easier because they can leverage the technology and the tools to do things that might not be quite as guest facing or forward facing, which then allows them to be more forward facing. So I think those are fantastic points.
Yeah, we use a phraseology here where you are less transactional with your guest service. So the old style may have been more transactional, where this is an opportunity for it to be more of a fluid service, to personalize the service, to anticipate the needs, and to use the innovation that we now have that's coming at us fast and furious.
Absolutely. I think personalization is the key now and into the future. And obviously, by leveraging technology as a tool, you can remember the guest name. You can remember what they had at their last meal because it's there for you. It's presented to you. You don't necessarily have to store it in your own computer. And when you see so many guests in a luxury experience across so many times, it's, it certainly can help jog that memory or just inform it in the first place if you weren't the server that day or the attendant that day. So, it's a really powerful tool that can really elevate anything if you're using it properly. I think that's such a fantastic point.
And using it for training, right? You can use it for use cases of how the customer satisfaction was elevated because of a moment, an interaction with the guest and also the staff. And that is powerful when another employee sees the response from a guest based on another employee's interaction. That really is the best, training, but also incentive, because we do have hospitality in our heart. Being in this industry, all of us are really, eager to please and eager to provide an exceptional experience. And so when they see that, that motivates them to do the same. So how we can utilize that, not only to give them the information to create that knowledge in that moment, that memorable moment, but also for training and bringing everybody's execution up which is what this talk is about, right? Elevating the guest experience.
Yeah, and it does come back to the associate. I mean, within our organization, we celebrate our team through a platform by the name of Rave, and it's recognizing amazing services that are offered up and shared with us by our guests. And internally, I mean, the ultimate win is, yes, we remember the guest's name and use it throughout, a service experience. But when a guest might leave and offer up a survey or a review and make mention of the associate's name, we celebrate that. We celebrate that and we keep score. I mean, that is out every day that David has had 10 name mentions this month, and he's leading the pack. And then we roll it up departmentally, and how many has food and beverage received versus the spa versus the front desk versus the valet, and it just continues to play on itself. But it all starts with making the connection. It's about the high touch, but then having the high tech behind it for the power.
I love that. I'm wondering if any of you have any stories from leading hotels or from your leading hotel, David, that have implemented the technology solutions to elevate the guest experience and then ultimately drive revenue. I know, David, you have a texting application that you use and that's resulted in some really special and memorable guest experiences.
It has, and I can share an experience from today. We operate a spa here at this oceanfront resort. I'm in Atlantic Beach, Florida, and the spa had 10 appointments available for today as of yesterday. So through our texting app, we rely on our front desk team to make a connection with those guests that are in-house that might not be in meetings today. For those that are here at their leisure, we'll text them the fact that we have a certain number of appointments available, and those appointments booked in the day for the day, kept that therapist busy, where they may have otherwise left for the afternoon and had to come back. So we were able to maximize the occupancy in a spa same day with the texting application. So that happened just today, and doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, and we can be smart about how we're deploying the technology and the forecasting on days like today, it's a win-win. It's a win-win for the guest. Typically, the guest also will extend a discount, right? Because they've gotten those final few appointments and they've made themselves available for a facial or for a massage that they otherwise hadn't been scheduled for, or a nail appointment. So that's happening real time. So that's enhanced guest service, that's better revenues, and a better use of the time for the associate.
Yes, it's certainly the trifecta for the hotel. You're integrating the system to ensure that you have the ability to provide those services and recognize which customers are available for those services in the first place. And then obviously, this is a personal thing. I am imagining many people enjoy massages and facials and all of the things that help them relax and pamper themselves. But right. What a special way to fill the day, the activity, and certainly bring in more revenue for the hotel and for the employees. So, right. I know that there was also a keyless entry example that I think you, Kris, had.
Well, not keyless entry, but actually I did have one with talking with one of my former associates at the Kimpton Hotels, which is an IHG property now, but they had recently a really good story about the front desk agent was talking at check-in with one of the guests who were checking in, obviously, with their family, and talking about they were there for a birthday celebration, and the mom, who is her birthday, was talking about how her love of music. That got a note written into the CRM tool. The concierge picked that up. There was a local performer that was performing that night of her birthday. And so they arranged, they worked with the husband, found out that they really didn't have anything necessarily planned, helped coordinate front row seats. It was an outdoor event. They absolutely had a brilliant time. And it was because they utilized technology, but they also had the thought about how do you create memorable moments. And so they had a wonderful, enjoyed a wonderful concert, and she was just ecstatic. So that's a great story of success in using technology, but also being conscious, being aware, and being thoughtful of capturing those unique details about that individual guest.
Yeah, that's good. That's the prime example of data transformed to information, transformed to action. I think that's a beautiful story. So that's a great use of technology. I'll give a use case from our standpoint. It's not one particular property, but one of our goals as a service provider is to almost be invisible, to have technology operate and just work, and even when it breaks, not affect the guest experience or the associates. And so we monitor and manage a little over 1 million devices that are networked today. We utilize proactive tools to do that. A lot of AI and network intelligence, a lot of processes that, of course, are designed by people both in the hotel industry and in the technology space. But the use case is just trying to be as seamless as possible and deliver a high level of service and not be known. Sometimes we have to come on site to fix things, but that's not our goal. We want to be invisible if at all possible. And so it takes a lot of effort and technology to meet that goal. But it's one we strive for every day. And I know other service providers like us do that as well. So it's important though.
I would thank you for saying that, Robert, because as a customer of World Cinema, I mean, you are in the company stealth in the way that you service our needs. So you're there when we need you. The response times are crucial, as you can see, with all the leverage of the technology from a World Cinema, from a Dish, having an opportunity to speak to someone when we need to, but to know that a tech might be available to respond. And it's always on a weekend, right? Prime time. It's never a downtime. It's an opportunity for us to work together. And we found that within our organization, having a World Cinema as a partner that does, as you said, running that company does make a difference.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can echo that. Being able to detect and prevent a disruption or a friction with the guest is extremely important, and that's what I think all of us in the in-room technology specifically industry look for, is ways to keep that room alive no matter what. Especially since one of the top 5 is smart TV and streaming and content. So we provide solutions to make sure that if that connectivity to the room goes down, the guest is still able to watch TV, watch some of the on demand, watch some of even the components that have already been recorded. Even though it is live, there's some recording of it that they can still play back. So looking at those, it's really important. And then to the expanded connectivity. How do we make sure that it's a safe environment, and that, from even calls for 911, that there's wireless or through wired or through cellular connectivity, they have, a means to communicate within the hotel or even external. So very important from a safety perspective that we're focusing on that.
Well, for me,
the other important thing I'd like to just mention is, I know all 3 companies, probably 4 with the educational institution you work for, Lisa, focus on culture of your employees. And, we have a culture of continual improvement. We're not perfect. I don't think we'll ever be perfect, but we can constantly strive to be better. And, that's the type of thing that we look at when we hire people, when we give them the employees' reviews. It's part of the thing that we live every single day, every single moment we're together. And I know that Dish has a very strong culture as well, of pride, adventure, winning, and I know there's the C. What is that? The
Curiosity.
Yeah. So and Remington is iconic in terms of the employees that you have, your team. Your events are amazing. So I think that's very important. The culture of us and wanting to deploy technology. Technology is just a thing that serves humans, right? So, but having people that have culture and are aligned is very, very important to the successful delivery and making that technology effective.
Yeah, as our president, Sloan Dean, often says, we're all about progress, not perfection. So the mindset is you may stumble along the way, but please be open to the feedback, open to what's ahead of you, and that progress will ultimately serve us all in a better place. So partnering with World Cinema, with Dish, enables us to kind of share that culture amongst our hospitality industry and to kind of share the hearts and hands of hospitality.
So true. So true. We've got, big, tall order from our chairman, Charlie Ergen, and our mission is to connect people and things and our vision is to change the way the world communicates. That's a tall order. Keeps me up at night. How can I enable that? But I think through some of the things that we're learning from you, David, from, the hoteliers and what the guests need, and from David or from Robert, from you too, and how we are needing to integrate and connect. We're really looking at creating and solving problems for how the future of 5G and the Dish, private cloud network can really connect all of these things together to move that data to information, to knowledge, to actionable, as you mentioned. So I think it's a beautiful opportunity for all of us to partner with the ultimate goal is to provide, the memorable moments and exceptional experiences.
And I'll also add, let's not forget about, we haven't forgotten about, because we have Lisa on the call, the next generation. I mean, we've had the privilege this week of welcoming 3 interns from different universities that are with us. And they're starting now. And I am so excited about the energy they bring to us and the fact that they can embrace this technology so fast and enable us to take it to the next level for folks like myself that have been in the business that can have them say, hey, come step around here and show me how to do this better, faster. And that's what's exciting about our industry is that student that's coming up that really does want to enhance their career through these experiences and in a learning environment like what Lisa and her peers do for us. So thank you.
Well, thank you all. I have so many key takeaways from this. The importance of viewing the technology as a tool to enhance and to empower the employees to provide that elevated guest experience, to enhance the experience for the employee themselves, using the data points and making sure they're integrated so that they can help to provide that seamless and fluid experience for the guest. The importance of curiosity and staying abreast of the trends and making sure that you're leveraging them to provide that elevated experience, and then that obviously resulting in increased revenue for the organization and ideally loyalty and return patronage as well. So I just was wondering if any of you had some closing thoughts on that you wanted to provide for our viewers on technology now and in the future and how we can really enhance that guest experience. David, let's start with you.
In closing, I would just say it's wonderful that we can elevate our guests' experience in so many ways, certainly in more than one way, through all this new technology. And the fact that Remington hotels are willing to continue to lean into the technology and the innovation as a safe place, like we've mentioned, and the opportunity for us ultimately to continue to invest in the technology that enables us all to provide a higher level of service, to provide a happier associate, and ultimately to provide our owners with the rewards of a smarter business.
That's fantastic. Robert, would you like to impart any final closing thoughts on this fabulous discussion?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think that the future is very, very bright as it relates to technology. Their access to computational power is becoming greater and greater every day. The networks are getting better and better every single day. The new standards that are coming out on the Wi-Fi side are very exciting and will open things up and will really revolutionize how we connect with each other. The ability for a guest to choose what they want and personalize their experience through technology without having us have to have additional people to do that, I think is very, very powerful. So it's a very, very bright, optimistic future for hospitality as it relates to technology and innovation. And, I'm just happy to be part of it. So I'm looking forward to the next chapter of this book.
Robert, we are so happy that you are part of it. And Kris, any closing thoughts from you? And thank you so much for sponsoring today's talk.
Well, it's my pleasure, and thanks for having me as a participant with great comrades as Robert and David. But, I think it's all about us continuing to be stewards of innovation and always trying to solve problems and search for enhancements to the experience that, we're not even anticipating today, but will be there tomorrow. And so that's through connectivity and continuously learning and being curious, as you mentioned before. That is the key. So we keep that in mind, and we will continue to do great things.
Kris, Robert, David, thank you so much for all of the knowledge and wisdom you've imparted today. To close, we'd like to thank you all for joining the International Luxury Hotel Association's webinar series. If you found the webinar to be of value, please do share the recording. Recordings of past webinars can be found on the ILHA's website, theilha.com, under events.